You think the ones winning are the ones talking. You've been told to share your journey, document the process, let the world watch you become. You've been handed a megaphone and told that visibility is the same thing as value. That noise is the same thing as momentum. Today, let me shatter that lie. Here's what most people miss, and I mean most people, the overwhelming, scrolling, performing majority of people who will never build anything that lasts. They have confused the signal for the source. They have mistaken the announcement for the arrival. They are so busy broadcasting the frequency that they never stop to ask, what are you actually transmitting? Nothing. Static. Beautiful, well-lit, perfectly captioned static. Let me tell you about the nature of power. Real power does not announce itself before it arrives. The earthquake does not send a press release. The tidal wave does not ask for your attention before it commands it. Nature, in all its ferocity and precision, builds in absolute silence beneath the surface and then moves. This is the central law, not a suggestion, not a mindset hack, a law. Energy concentrated is energy multiplied. Energy dispersed is energy dissolved. Every time you explain what you're building before it's built, you bleed potential. Every time you seek validation for a vision that hasn't yet materialized, you are borrowing against an account you haven't filled. You are making withdrawals for a bank that doesn't exist yet and wondering why you feel broke. The silence is not the absence of progress. The silence is the progress. What are you broadcasting right now? Sit with that question. Don't rush past it. Close your eyes if you need to. What is the frequency your energy is transmitting at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, when no one is watching, when the algorithm rewards nothing, when the audience has gone home? Who are you then? What are you building then? Because that person, that version of you, in the dark, in the quiet, in the unsexy middle of the work, that is the real signal. That is the frequency that determines everything that comes toward you. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is determined not in your highlights, but in your hidden hours. Now let me give you the framework, not theory, practice, the architecture of a life built in silence. The first core belief is containment. You have to learn to hold your vision like a pressure vessel holds steam, sealed, internal, building force. The moment you open the valve prematurely, the moment you explain to a skeptic, justify to a doubter, perform for an audience that hasn't earned the preview, you release the pressure. You feel momentarily relieved. You mistake that relief for progress. It is not progress. It is leakage. Contain the vision. Let it pressurize. Let it become something worth releasing before you release it. The second belief is identity before evidence. This is where the work becomes spiritual. Every empire was first built in someone's nervous system before it was built in the world. Every transformation was an inside job before it was a public event. The person you need to become, the version of you who holds the wealth, who leads the company, who has already crossed the threshold, that person must exist inside you now, before the evidence shows up on the outside. Not as an affirmation you say in the mirror, as a state you inhabit, as a frequency you emit from your cells. You do not wait to believe until you see it. You believe first, and then the world bends toward the signal. Most people have this backwards. They are waiting for proof before they commit to the identity. They are waiting for the result before they become the person. That is not faith, that is just reaction. And reactive people do not build empires, they inherit consequences. The third belief is energetic congruence. This is alignment, true alignment, not the word on a vision board, but the felt experience of every decision, every environment, every relationship being in harmonic resonance with where you're going. Incongruence is the invisible tax on your output. When you say you want one life, but you spend your energy tolerating another, there is a war happening inside you, and wars are expensive. They drain the reserves you need for building. Ask yourself, ruthlessly, without mercy, what in your life right now is incongruent with the person you're becoming? What relationships pull signal from you instead of amplifying it? What environments contract you when you need to expand? What habits are the fingerprints of your old identity still running the operations of your new one? Strip it, align it, not next quarter, now. You will not need to beg for attention once you have built something worthy of it. You will not need to explain your vision to people who couldn't hold it anyway. You will not need to chase the room. The room will rearrange itself around you, but you have to earn that. In the dark, in the discipline, in the long, unglamorous season of construction that the world never gets to see. I ask you, who are you when the work is hard and the applause hasn't come? Who are you when the timeline stretches beyond what you planned and the gap between where you are and where you're going feels less like opportunity and more like accusation? Who do you become in that gap? Because that becoming, right there, is the entire game. The gap is not punishment. The gap is the gymnasium. Every day you show up in the gap and do the work anyway. You are not just building your dream, you are becoming the person capable of holding it. You are not just creating results, you are forging a self that can sustain them. Most people quit in the gap. They quit and then they perform the quitting. They go public with their pivot. They reframe the retreat as wisdom and post about the lesson while avoiding the truth, that they could not tolerate the silence. They could not stand the invisibility. They needed the world to see them trying, because trying was the only reward they could access. Not you, not anymore. You are a field, not a fragment. Let me be precise about what that means. A fragment is reactive, scattered, seeking completion from outside itself. A field has its own gravity. A field draws to it what resonates with its frequency. A field does not chase, it does not plead, it does not shrink itself to fit a room that was never built for its size. A field simply is, with such coherence, such depth, such concentrated intentionality, that the right people, the right resources, the right moments of alignment find their way to it, as if by law, because it is law. This is physics, not poetry. Your job is not to make noise. Your job is to become so coherently, so completely, so irreversibly yourself that the universe has no choice but to organize around that signal. Build in the quiet, move in the dark, do the work that no one sees at a standard that would embarrass everything you were last year. And when the thing is built, when it rises from the silence into the world, when it stands on its own foundation and casts its own shadow, you will not need to announce it. It will announce itself, because that is how real things arrive. Not with a countdown, not with a teaser campaign, not with a performance of becoming, with weight, with presence, with the unmistakable gravity of something that was forged in silence and tempered in discipline. You were never behind, you were never broken, you were never someone who needed to be discovered by the right audience at the right moment to finally become real. You were always the signal, you just kept leaking the frequency before the tower was built. Build the tower, the broadcast will handle itself.